Hey guys, it's Serene, and really quick before this video starts, I just wanted to let you know that the time lapse in the background of this video is very short because I took it on my phone and forgot how much it condensed. So there will be 2 time lapses, one just doesn't have anything to do with this video. So sorry, but my aesthetic is not on par. Call me a loser. See if I care. I do, actually. I do care. Please don't do that. Anyway, so Medusa. Medusa's a pretty popular Greek monster. I feel like most people have a general knowledge, or at least more so than they do other Greek monsters. I mean, it's lady with snakes for hair, turns you to stone, the works. Now, as with most Greek myths, there are a couple of different versions to her story. I'm going to be talking about 2 today because I think they're interesting in how they contrast. So I'm going to start with the more traditional one and the one you typically see in most Greek textbooks, or I say textbooks, Greek mythology books. This is probably the one that most people are familiar with if they know the myth of Medusa. So Medusa was a very hot and attractive young lady. In case you didn't know, she was very hot, and she liked to use her beauty to get what she wanted, basically. So, because this is a Greek myth, obviously a god took notice. That god was Poseidon, and he was the god of the sea. Now, Medusa, like an idiot, was like, oh, this god loves me, and so that means that I am amazing. Instead of thinking, oh, this god likes me, and that usually doesn't end well. So, Medusa and Poseidon decide to go make out in Athena's temple, just for fun. And obviously, Athena notices and is like, hey, you can't do that here. Which I don't really blame her, because whenever I see people making out in school, it's just gross. And I look at them and I'm like, ew. So I don't really blame her, but she can't really punish Poseidon because he's a god too. So instead, she places all the blame on Medusa and is like, yeah, you're ugly now. And also you turn people into stone. So she gives Medusa snakes for hair. Her bottom half of her body is a snake tail and she slithers around. And also she turns people to stone whenever she looks at her. Or whenever she looks at them. So that's fun. Yeah, so obviously she isn't a big hit in town anymore because she keeps turning people to stone. So she gets chased out after making a few statues here or there. Say goodbye to your Uncle Jerry. He's now in our garden. Anyway. So she eventually gets killed by Perseus, who is a son of Zeus, when he was on a quest. And he cuts off her head and then uses it to turn all of his enemies to stone. So that's fun. And eventually the severed head, Athena gets it back and puts it on a shield and gives it to Zeus, and it scares all of his enemies away. So if you have learned anything by this lesson, it's don't make out in Athena's temple, because she will forever use that against you. Now, that is the more traditional version of the myth. Now, there's one that I've seen on the internet kind of circulating around that I find interesting, and I would like to kind of compare and contrast it. Now, in this version, Medusa is still hot, and she's still very attractive. But as with anything genetically, it's not like she can control that she has this beauty. So it's kind of like a curse that she never wanted, and it's only ever been bad for her. Now, because she's very hot, Poseidon takes notice. And as the myth goes, he decides to kind of force her into a relationship with him that he didn't want. Because he's a god. He kind of, it was pretty much if you don't do this, I'm gonna zap you to pieces. And she's like, well, that doesn't really give me a choice. Now, he decided to try and make out with her and stuff and play checkers in Athena's temple. And she didn't want to do this, but she didn't have a choice. So obviously Athena noticed, and she came down and was like, that's not cool. You guys can't be doing this. Well, she can't really punish Poseidon still because he's a god. However, as this myth goes, she makes Medusa a monster to help her. And it's more of a, well, I'll transform you into this snake-looking thing with snakes for hair, a snake tail, so that people, you don't have to worry about your beauty being a problem anymore. And if anyone tries to hurt you, here's stone vision. And Medusa just kind of went and ran away and lived in the cave for the rest of her life. Or I should say for the rest of her very short life, because Perseus still kills her in this version of the myth and uses her severed head and stuff. So I think it's an interesting take on it, because it's like you don't typically think of, oh, I'm getting turned into a monster and giving all these abilities as a plus, but it was an interesting way to look at the story. I don't know which one is real. I don't know which one is the original, because Greek myths have several versions, sometimes 4 or 5, for one story. So I just think it's interesting. So let me know down in the comments which version you like more, if you want to. If not, then don't let me know. It's not like I can force you. Yeah. So that's kind of it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Wash your hands, and yeah, see ya.